So I changed my camera angle, of course, and what's up? What's up?
What is going on, All Terrain Nation? This is your buddy Dave, and we got Danny way over on the West Coast, and this is your truck and SUV channel, and mixed in with whatever else we can find. This is All Terrain Nation, and we are pumped up tonight. Danny, tonight we are talking overlanding, man, something that we both have a little bit of experience in. I think you have a lot more than me, but we do have some experience in this topic. What is going on?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My audio good, Dave? I think we're good.
I
I've been
think we
pressing
are.
the mute button. All right. I just wanted to make sure I didn't mute myself. Let me start off by saying, as a current, former, and still overlander, cheers. I'm going to be cracking open a fresh new
Danny, cheers,
Ennigan
buddy.
brew.
Cheers.
Chris Enegren, thanks for making brilliant beer for quite a few years now, probably 10 years. And on that point, let me just say that the Overland crowd, the Overland people, they're good beer drinkers, man. They drink some good beer, and I appreciate the connoisseurs of the good beer. And so, yeah, it seems like the whole market of overlanding, it's almost like automotive world meets camping world, and it's the connoisseurs of both
Really?
in a weird collaboration. It's like the connoisseurs of gear, the connoisseurs of vehicle. It's like they like the finer things in life, and that's how I see overlanding these days. That's where I feel like it's got to. What do you think, Dave?
I don't know, man. I know a lot of Nissan guys that do it, so I don't know if it's always the finer things.
Well, here's the thing, Dave, and this is where it's going. So I like good wine and I like good beer. I'm a connoisseur. I can't quite afford the the Camus every day, you know what? So sometimes I buy a box, but I also own Nissans. But you know what? When I can afford some good beer, and usually I can afford good beer. It's not quite the same as wine, but I try to drink the best beer I can on the budget I have. And that's why I own Nissans. I try and drive the best vehicle I can on the budget I have. And on top of that, Dave, sometimes you can find a wine that's delicious and amazing that doesn't break the bank.
Right.
And that's what Nissan is.
Well, that's right. We are the box wine of wines. Anyways, guys, what is going on, man? I hope you guys' this weekend has gone well. My weekend has gone fantastic. Danny, before we get going, guys, you know we're always going to give you a little bit of insight of our weekend lives and stuff. And Danny, so Friday we won our second softball game. My girls did.
Oh, good for you.
Two in a row. Two in a row. And part of the deal was my daughter wanted to have a sleepover with 3 of her friends on the team.
Oh, yeah, I saw the pictures.
If we won, I said we would do that. And so Friday night she went over to their house and they had a sleepover. And I get a call that night or the next day going, "Hey, can we have a sleepover at our house tonight?" And I was like,
let's make it a weekend. Let's
Yeah.
make it a party.
Yeah, and so Kelly goes, "Well, it's just up to your dad." Now, anytime I know that is the case, I'm in a lot of trouble because I don't want to disappoint my daughter, man. So I had 2 twins and their stepsister over here, along with my daughter, who was bouncing off the ceilings. And then, so they were here till 3 o'clock at my time. And then we went to ball practice till 5 o'clock with the same girls. So my weekend has just been nothing but softball kids, man. And
it sounds like all of my daughters, because I get my 2 daughters and then they both want friends. So there's always 4 to 6 girls over at my house anytime there's an open weekend or a vacation night. So I feel you're paying hard, Dave. A lot of girl things go on. You're like, man, I'm gonna be in the garage drinking beer.
Right. Well, so anyways, tonight, guys, obviously it's Overland night, and honestly, there just wasn't a ton of going on in the truck or SUV world this week that I really felt like it was, appropriate to talk about. I mean, there's just not a lot going on right now. I think till sometime in November, like the world of trucks right now is probably calming down unless Nissan does something exciting, which Danny, once again, guys, I know this is a truck channel. Me and Danny had our most epic live, what was that, last Tuesday? We had over 8,000 people watch that live video. It makes the 10 here look like we're not even trying. But we love you, 10. Don't get me wrong. But like Nissan dropped a big car, and it was pretty fun. And I think, Danny, we need to do some live reveals on this channel as well. I think when the next big truck or whatever comes out, we need to do it, man.
Absolutely. We're definitely going to be doing some live reveals, giving our thoughts. And basically what we're doing is we're hanging out with all of our buddies here,
Yeah,
and
basically.
hopefully new buddies to come, and sharing our thoughts and where we're at. We try to really respond a lot to you guys' comments, so keep the comments coming, even if you're just busting our ass about something. But
Oh,
we want to chat with you guys. Oh, Jim Bob's here. I love it. So yeah, let us know if you want to see us do some live reveals when there's new stuff out there getting live kicked out there. And we'll be there with you,
or
and chatting.
if there's something that you don't think we're covering, man, because last on our Nissan show last week, there was people going, "Hey, you guys have talked trucks and Z a lot. Let's talk Maxima and some things." So like, if this show, we're merely the boat, and you guys are the guiding the boat. So if there's something that we're not doing or talking about, let us know. And speaking of people letting us know, Danny, my my last Bronco video I released on here talking about the bumper, which I didn't think would get the attention that it did, is kind of went crazy, and people just like, I don't even know if it's 50% likes now on that video, because people did not appreciate my take on a Ford bumper. Of all things, like, I didn't bash the vehicle. I'm obviously I put money down to buy one of these things, but you would have thought that I just beat their kids the way I just discussed that. I thought the bumper options on the Ford Bronco were kind of like, they're just okay. Like, I literally, Danny, I would have never I think I could have said that truck was a pile of crap and people would have been okay with it. But you talk about a bumper and all hell broke loose, man.
Well, the nerve of you, Dave. The gall. The balls on you, sir. I can't believe you were talking smack about a plastic bumper. That just, I don't know where you get your braveness, your tenacity, but that's you're really fighting God's fights there, aren't you, Dave?
Let's see. Somebody just asked a question. Oh, Joe Taylor asked, will we reveal the Frontier here or on the Nissan Nation? That's definitely a Nissan Nation truck. We've discussed that truck for so many years. Like, I think our audience over there would kill us if we just devoted it here. And to be honest, Joe, when it comes down to it, that channel makes us money right now, and this channel does not. And I have to look at it. I know that sounds bad, but I have to look at the financial gains from revealing it over there versus here. And you guys basically on that channel are just keeping the production's lights going right now, so which is grateful, and we appreciate it a lot. But this channel, once it grows, this channel will probably take over those kind of things. But I think, Danny, I think it's appropriate that, like, literally, we've talked about that truck on that channel for so long, 6 years, man.
Oh, we were talking back in 2017. I was thinking, yeah. We could go on about it for hours. We'll for sure. That's our side passion. At this point, it's our side passion, and
Yep.
we understand that we can't just sit on that. We gotta hit everything. So, you know what? Tonight, the whole Overland theme is a really good theme, because the whole Overland thing is, I mean, it really is all-terrain nation. I
Mhm.
mean, one of the big things that has been going on for the longest time is overlanding. And what is overlanding? It's camping out of your vehicle. It's exploring. It's adventuring. The name overlanding has become this glorified camping thing that basically it's camping. It's a slightly different version
Glamping.
of it, right?
It's glamping, Danny.
Yeah. Well, you know what? To some it's glamping. To other it is. I mean, I've met everybody from the Expedition Overland guys to the guy that throws basically a backpack in the back of his truck and drives out to the middle of nowhere. So it's everything in between. And I appreciate everything from the guys that are they got their scuttle out, they're grinding their own coffee. The coffee that they smoked themselves, that they
smoking coffee
roasted
now?
them.
Jeez.
They roasted their own coffee beans, and they're grinding their own coffee, and they're cooking their cage-free eggs on their scuttle grill,
Cage-free
on
eggs.
their on their stove that you can burn 17 different types of fuel on, and that they restored it from a stove that they found on eBay that it's 70 years old. There's everything from the beginning to the end in the Overland world.
There is, and I think it's like, what we used to just call camping in a lot of cases has turned into its own little segment now, and it's not just camping anymore, and especially on the East Coast. Now, Danny, you're on the West Coast, so you have more opportunities for open land. You've got a lot of BLM.
Well, we have a longer season, it seems like,
Right.
as well.
But we have fences and property over here, property ownership. Like, it's hard on the East Coast. There are places you can do it. There's long trails you can do, whether it be the Kentucky Trail, Overland, or whatever. I forget what the CAT stands for, but or you can start what was it in Georgia? I think it is, where you do
The transcontinental.
Yeah, the transcontinental. And I mean, there's opportunities here, but as far as like you guys have such wide open land out there, it just lends itself better to a West Coast thing.
I think and you say West Coast, western side of the states, I would say.
Right.
Utah, Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, all of those, South Dakota, all of those states are excessively amazing when it comes to just these, beautiful mountain trails and amazing, national parks and stuff like that. So they're very popular in that type of genre of off-road and adventure world. So I definitely do agree with you, and that's where I've done 90% of all the stuff that I've done. I mean, the Appalachians. I don't know what you guys are supposed to call them out there.
The hills.
We went out. We were in the Appalachians, right? The URI.
Mm-hmm.
That's up in the Appalachians, right?
Well,
So,
it's actually just over them, but you've done it, and you've done at Windrock. That's the start of the Appalachians.
Yeah.
And,
Okay. Yeah. So there's stuff out there. And it's completely different, but at the same time, and that's what you're looking for. And there's stuff in between, of course. But you're looking for an adventure. You're looking to see something you've never seen before. And I've seen a lot, and I mean a lot of Utah, probably within the last 6 to 7 years. I saw a good amount of Colorado. I think I've barely scratched the surface, to tell you the truth, but I've seen a lot of it. And I mean, that's the kind of stuff that, Utah and Colorado are so different just between the two of them.
Mm-hmm. They're both such crazy
yeah, they're two of the most epic states in the entire friggin' country, for sure. I mean, apart from Alaska, I would say, you know.
And so, Danny, let's break it into a little bit, and we'll kind of discuss our backgrounds just a little bit with this, or our combined adventures. So I think the first time was URE that me and you really had got to go do some overlanding together. You flew out, and I mean, because you had done like Windrock with us, but that's not real. That's more off-roading and just sort of like
we kind of camp out every night and then do a little it's trail runs. It's
right.
It's not overlanding. It's trail runs and a party around a fire pit every night, or an overhang, depending on what the weather's like.
But you were actually sponsoring an event over there. It was an American Adventurist. We did one of their deals, and you'd flew in. And my wife that night decided, hey, I'm going with you guys, which was great because by the time we got there, it was so we left. I think
we needed that third driver because I was no good for anybody.
So I picked Danny up at the airport. My wife gets home from work. We throw everything we've got into our Xterra and off we go to North Carolina. And like I knew it was a long trip, but I think when you work all day and then think, I can power through.
It was just a really long day, long haul, just through the night, just pushing real hard.
And I did till we got to North Carolina. I think I did some of the hills, and then you took over for not very long. I don't think
I tried. I was like, I could drive. I drove for like maybe an hour, an hour, dude. I don't even know.
I remember waking up in the back seat, and then Kelly's in the driver's seat, and I'm like, when did we? I don't even remember this stop.
I tapped out. I remember dazing out, going, I can't. This is dangerous.
But we get there, and I remember just getting our tents out right when the crack of dawn. Like it was. I remember it was 6 a.m. when we rolled into the URE area, and I know you were meeting your brother over there. And
my brother was living in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
South Carolina at the time, and he made us up there, and I hadn't seen him in probably a year or two, which was pretty cool. But um, I think we rolled in, and then we slept, and then for like a couple hours,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think me and my brother went out and we went like kayaking on
Yeah,
this
you
lake,
did. You did.
and I felt like I kayaked out, and it was the most. It was like crystal glass lake. It was fall, so the trees were changing colors. I fell asleep in the kayak for like 5 minutes because I was like, "This is the most tranquil place I've ever been in my life," and I just like crashed out in the. Yeah, we were totally exhausted, but it was a cool meetup. There was a ton of cool trucks there.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah, there was. I remember that Ford Ranger that was super rad. I think we did a trail run maybe the second or third day. I can't remember. We had a really fun course, a recovery course. Did you go to the recovery course?
I didn't get to go to that one. I did. I took Kelly on they were doing just a basic off road course.
Oh, okay.
We did that.
We did there was a recovery class taught by a guy who was some South African. He was some certified in something or other. I can't remember. It's been quite a few years now, but he was showing us how to do recoveries with bubba rope and a winch, which was pretty cool. And then, and all these kind of different techniques that you can use, which was really, and he explained it a lot. So he explained the engineering behind it, which was pretty cool. So that was a ton of fun.
Yeah, because you put a snatch block on these things, and there is some engineering to it, man. There's
definitely some engineering and technique in how to recover something. And then on top of that is if you the safer you can be when doing a recovery, the better, because there are so many possibilities for overloading, whether it's a snap or some kind of strap, or if you're using a bubba rope, which is kind of like a spring style rope. That's not the name for it, but it's blanking on me now. But there's different kinds of recovery gear, and you have to know how each one is supposed to work, and then use it for that purpose.
Right.
And then on top of things like using straps for trees, tree straps, so you're not like wrecking trees and stuff like that. Which is, that's kind of like that tread lightly thing. You don't want to wreck a bunch of trees out there while just because you effed up and got stuck. So.
Yeah, and but that was kind of our first trip, and I know you didn't actually drive back with us. Me and Kelly ended up after we left a day early on that one, and we literally just explored South Carolina through northern Georgia and came back up through Chattanooga back here to Middle Tennessee, and it was a great trip, man. And her Xterra was built for that. And then Danny, I think our next big trip was Vegas to Ouray. Colorado. I think that was 17. I think when we did that one.
You're right. Yeah, that sounds about right. But that was one hell of an epic trip. Ouray, Telluride. There was the other pass. We went through Black Bear Pass, but there was a couple passes that we went through.
Yeah,
Imogen Pass was just as epic as Black Bear, if you ask me, if not better. I think Black Bear is like the sketchier pass, but Imogen was the more amazing in my opinion.
Well, let's get into that a little bit. But so I flew from Nashville. We met the guys of Rogue Overland. And if you guys haven't yet, go over to Rogue Overland's web page. Like, they do all kinds of cool product reviews, and they're what I like about their reviews and stuff is they're just people doing it. Like they treat it as they don't treat it like they're the high and mighty, because that's the one thing in overlanding that I've noticed, especially the past 3 or 4 years. It's getting to be there's a status to overlanding, and yes, equipment is expensive and stuff, but even some of your expedition overland guys, like, there's just like this weird, like, their knowledge is so far above everybody else, but Rogue is out every weekend, man. Those guys are out doing it.
Yeah, those guys are legitimate. They're actually out at Moab right now, just running around having a good time. I got videos at 10 o'clock last night of Sean and his FJ going over the big drop on Steelbender. He's like, hey, remember when Blueberry went over the with his Xterra over the big drop? He's like, and he got some rear wheel air time. He's like, well, check this out. Sure enough, there's just great pictures of video of them doing that. But they're super down to earth guys, but they're extremely knowledgeable, you know, because they have done so much. So
and they do it. I think those guys do it more than almost anybody I know. Like they're out adventuring almost every
They
weekend.
are out
man.
a lot. It blows me away how much they get out as far as just if they're going to run a trail, for the weekend or
Right.
just have some fun
And
stuff
and
like
it's
that.
not with those guys, and I'm not blowing smoke, man. They're not hitting campsites and just like setting up their rooftop tent and calling it a weekend. Like they are out like Savachi and those guys, dude. They plan for months in advance.
Well, and on top of that, they plan their big events so far in advance, and I think they're going to go to doing one a year, I believe now, because the events are so big and they're so popular. But on top of that, they do a ton of. They are the quintessential. Hey, let's shoot out this weekend and go camping tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just go run this trail. We'll camp out there tonight and we'll drive back tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it's not the whole rogue crew that does that, but that group of guys that I'm really close with them now. I'm actually going to head out and hang out with them the first weekend in October. But I'm really, I talk to them almost every day, and they are truly adventurers.
Mm-hmm.
They truly love just going out, hitting the dirt, getting some time
or
away
hitting
from,
trucks. They like hit trucks too.
running into each other's bumpers. It's a whole nother story, man.
Yeah, that's another time.
But they truly enjoy doing that. And you know what? Half of them, Rogue Overland and all the friends and, friends of friends that go on it, they drive everything too. A lot of Toyotas, there's FJs and Tacomas. There's on the last trip, there's a Ford Bronco. There was a Tundra, like a long travel desert Tundra that went on that trip. And everything from mild to wild. So
Yeah.
They're not a discriminatory group towards what kind of make and model you get. And that was the thing too. It was cool because the long travel truck, when we were hitting all these long desert roads, that guy was cruising like he was on freaking on ice or on some kind of pillows. He's just cruising. And then when we get to some more technical stuff, his big 4 links are dragging on rocks and stuff like that, but he had a blast. And it's cool to see that with groups like that, where it's like, it's not a Nissan group, it's not a Toyota group, it's not an FJ group, whatever, it's not a Raptor group or something like that. Just bring a vehicle that has, these basic qualifications, and let's go and find some, amazing stuff.
But you know what I do hate though is Overland Bound's whole thing of it doesn't matter what you drive, because that's led into this thing of like any guy with a Subaru now that thinks he puts on an inch taller tire, suddenly he's like a monster out there. And yeah, overland based travel, I guess ultimately could be from East Coast to West Coast, blah blah blah. If you want to camp on your way, that's fine. But I think what a lot of people really assume overland travel is kind of what they were doing in the deserts of Africa and stuff. Man, you're going week at a time. Like in my opinion, that's what overland travel is. But Danny, so I flew out to Vegas, and Danny had to drive from LA to Vegas, which Danny's not a big Vegas guy. And well, you're just not a big LA guy either, man. Is my understanding. But
big towns. I don't like them.
But so Danny picks me up at the airport, and we went to one of the Nick's house, and we from there we went like there was no downtime.
Yeah, then it was hitting the road all the way out to some cow pasture in the middle of nowhere in the middle of the night.
So let's see, there's Danny's. I've got Danny's truck up here at the moment, so you can kind of see this was us on the trip. And if I can fix the video slightly, but we just went out, and this was on Imogene Pass right here that you see Danny's truck. But that was the peak of that truck being an overland truck right there, man. Your Red Dragon, when we went on that trip, man, you had the whole rack system. You still had the rooftop tent, the bumpers and stuff. Like that truck, that was really purposely built. It was really
well equipped for that trip. Yeah, we were very well equipped for the trip. We slept very snugly in my rooftop tent together.
we froze our butt. Well, Danny did for a bit. But yeah,
I don't think we weren't that cold. I've been way colder. Let me just tell you, I don't remember that trip, so that tells me it wasn't that cold.
Well,
because I've been on a few trips now, man.
Do I need to pull, Danny? Do I need to pull the picture out where you got the schmog wrapped around your head? Because I have a picture of
you. Yeah, that's why I wasn't that cold. I'm telling you, dude, I've been on way colder trips.
No, definitely.
And I was probably cold at the time, But now that I've been on these other trips, I was like, man, that was nothing.
Right. But so Danny, give us a little bit of background on your truck right there, the Red Dragon, as it were, like, cause you were pretty kitted out there, man.
Yeah, that truck, the Lightner designs, they came out that rear bed rack, which came out, I want to say about maybe 9 or 10 years ago, somewhere on there. Um, it's the active cargo system, I believe, is what he calls it. And he had just started coming out with, like I said, 10 years ago. I met him at American Adventurist. But he built the whole rack to be able to load a motorcycle into his truck, and then still have, like, the opportunity to be able to put stuff all over his truck or whatnot. And so that was the first rack that he built for Frontiers, because I had met him and I was like, hey, I'd like that system. I want to put the rooftop tent on it, et cetera, et cetera. So, a few years later, I have that rack. I have the rooftop tent. We have the things on the cargo pods on the sides and stuff like that. I think the other side we had some max tracks and whatnot, high lifts and whatever. But yeah, the snorkel, winch bumper, aluminum winch bumper, sliders. We had it basically kitted out on 33s, tight and swapped,
And
kitted out to do that whole trail without having any problems.
And if you like this truck, I'll be sure once this thing posts, I'll put a link above to Danny's, because you did a nice walk around on this vehicle at this time.
Yeah.
But this truck was it was built for it. You got your ham radio installed. Of course, you're a licensed ham guy. And like the truck was really comfortable. It was still riding great. It was. I'm going to say. I mean, not that it's bad.
Fairly
now.
fresh. Yeah. The shocks were still. This is back when the truck was in good shape.
Yeah.
before I constantly beat it into submission and then parked it.
Right.
This is back when it was really well taken care of. I mean, I was probably starting to build the race truck at this time, but it wasn't quite on as priority as all these adventures and stuff.
But we went from Vegas all the way somewhere in deep into Utah, and which was a long drive, because I don't think we left Vegas till maybe 1:00 Vegas time. And I remember throwing up the rooftop tent, and I'd been out west, I'd been to Moab before, but there's still a little bit of light pollution in Moab if you're looking. I mean, you still see the beautiful skies, but you're out in the middle of Utah, in like there's no light around you. Like
it was definitely no moon out,
but
it was
but
the
you
stars.
Yeah, you seen these stars, and it was just so beautiful. And I remember being so tired, and like me and Danny, we threw the tent up, and I, as a guy that had to fly in, I had to rely on Danny for a lot of gear, man. So luckily I'd brought some hand warmers, and I threw them in my sleeping bag, and I was pretty toasty that night. But Danny, from there, we went from there to the hot spring. Was it the hot springs in Telluride, or?
Yeah, I think they were in Telluride. Yeah, there's natural hot springs there.
But we did that.
They there in town.
Danny tried to hump a moose in
No, it was an elk.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Well,
I was wearing the American Courage suit. We did a little shopping, walked around. We stopped by that distillery. We had some good whiskey at the distillery.
Yeah.
God, that was an epic trip.
And then we went to, and we camped in Silverton, right?
I think so.
And I remember driving up the $1 Million Highway, man, and literally, like, they call it the $1 Million Highway because there's so much gold pulled and silver pulled from this area that they know the road's been sprinkled with gold and silver. So, but remember, it was so it was a lot of switchbacks and stuff. And I remember the camp it was a campground-ish. I mean, campground in quotes, because it was an old mine that we stayed in that was wrapped around these. Well, I know mountains to be here in the East Coast.
That was a beautiful camping area. I love that was when I was like, we made it, dude.
Right. And when you see those mountains there, and you're already at 10,000 feet, and you look up and there's still thousands of feet to go, you're just like, holy cow. And I'll never forget, like, we had a great night. We all around the campfire, just everybody, shooting the shit, just everybody talking. And we knew Joey Parent was on his way. And those that don't know, you've got to look on Instagram, look up the Blueberry. Joey is a character, man. Like, if you ever want to go off-roading, Joey's the guy you want to go with.
I think his Instagram is I Know Blueberry.
Yeah.
I believe. But yeah, he's an epic off-roader. He's got a big blue Nissan Xterra, but You know, and on top of that, we had Chris Hefty from Hefty Fab Works.
Yeah.
He had brought his awesome Forerunner out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and just all those guys, we had so much fun. You know, the radio chatter was always a good time.
It's always a good time with you on the radio, man.
I still get a message or something like that about the whole, like, if you were gonna write a love poem to one of your relatives, what would it say? Do you remember that?
I do.
And then we just sat on the radio and everybody just kept throwing out poems to relatives. But yeah, it was super epic. It was a lot of fun.
But remember, we woke up that morning and Joey was in a damn hammock tied between our trucks, and we're like, when did Joey get here?
Yeah,
like,
he just showed up in the middle of the night or something like that. Threw a hammock on our truck.
And what's funny is where we're at is bears and all kinds of stuff. So it was like, I don't know if Joey just didn't care or what.
Yeah,
like,
I imagine he just didn't care.
He was going to be a burrito.
He's the kind of guy to throw a little caution to the wind, that's for sure.
But we end up doing that night. We end up doing or the next day we did black bear.
We did black bear, and then I think we did Imogen.
Imogen,
well
yeah,
that same day.
Yeah, and Imogen by far is my favorite, just ultimate trail that I've done, man.
It's so epic. There's so much to see. There's like there's some good hill climbs in it. You know, you're driving over some water. You're in the trees, and then all of a sudden you're up in some kind of there's a mine up there that you drive through, and then it's it's above the tree line. It's just rocks and then you get up to the top.
Your picture right there is that right at the beginning of Imogen too.
Yeah, yeah. And then at the top, you're just looking down these massive canyons, I guess you would say, down from where you came, and you're like, how did we even drive up here? This is ridiculous. You're so high. I don't remember offhand. I'm guessing it's up in the 12,000 foot or 11,000.
I want to say it's 13 is what I want to say it is.
It's very possible that it's up that high, but I mean, you're so high up there, it's ridiculous. You know, and it's just shale and rock up there. And then the way down the other side where you go was epic as well. And then when you're down to the bottom, you're driving into these little mountain towns. It's like a 1-lane town. And there's all these kind of kitschy, beautiful rows of shops and stuff like that. It's really like super epic to go do stuff like that. There's nothing like it that I've ever done.
Yeah.
And it's addictive, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. And then from there we drove straight to not really Moab proper, but somewhere outskirts of Moab, man. And
yeah, we were right outside of Moab, about an hour outside of Moab, kind of down I think it's the Green River. Kind of down that canyon that the Green River flows.
But we did an awesome podcast. It's back when we were still podcasting.
We were
guys
sitting around the fire pit
in the middle of nowhere. Once again, like nowhere, and we're podcasting, and like whoever's thought of, like, I'm sure somebody's done it, but for us it was amazing. And Danny, I remember you the next day going, Dave, I've got to be at work the next day, and I'm like, what?
Got a hot lap, we gotta go.
Yeah. We literally hauled ass 5 a.m. I'll never forget waking up at 5 a.m. Our alarms are going off.
We had to start it up early.
And we drive it. Danny's rallying through, like he's taking his Frontier, just rallying through these things. And all of a sudden there's a bear in the middle of the road. And me and Danny it's only like 20 minutes since we woke up, packed and gone. And we're both, I think, kind of looked at each other like, is that a bear? And that bear stood up.
That's a bear, right?
That bear stood up. He turned and looked at us, and we're looking at him. And I'm fumbling, trying to get my phone out because I'm like, I gotta get a picture of this. And he takes off darting. And like after that, dude, it was just nuts, man.
Yeah. We were both just like staring at each other, like, did that just happen right now?
But we've done a lot, man, and we've had a time doing it. And we'll do future episodes where we break down equipment and stuff, Danny. But tonight, I kind of wanted to talk about just vehicles and maybe where they're going to go. So let's put this up. So the first one I got is, it'll take Danny a second to probably see this truck, but it's a Ram 2500, and AEV makes this. I believe that's right. AEV, is that right?
American Expedition Vehicles.
Yes, makes this beastly thing. And guys, this is to me the pinnacle, the high of overlanding. If you're wanting to spend $100,000, this is where you're probably going. And now you're not going to take it through a lot of the tight trails and stuff, but this, like, especially for just 2 or 3 people, Danny. This is kind of probably the Cadillac of
Well,
overlanding.
two.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit in the middle seat on any of my ventures. Sitting in the middle would have sucked. But yeah, 2 people. That I mean, that would be an amazing, amazing truck to take out. The biggest thing, Dave, is and we'll call this a full size.
Hmm.
And Expedition Outfitters can weigh in on this too. Um, there's so many trips that I've been on where I wish I had a full size, and then there's so many trips that I went on that if I had a full size, I would hate life
Yeah.
and I wouldn't have made it, you know? So there's definitely like this, there's no one size, there is no one size fits all.
Right.
There really isn't. Because, I mean, like my truck, I have 2 growing daughters now and a son and a wife. And
A
the last
dog.
time I took it out, yeah, and a dog. The last time I took it out, I mean, we were so packed in that truck, my Frontier. We were so packed in with everything, the gear, the amount of stuff that girls take on top of everything. Don't get me started on the amount of extra gear ladies need.
Right.
But the truck may fit there, but the people inside don't fit in the truck, so you need a full size. You know what I'm saying? So if I had had a full size, then my truck is getting so destroyed on the trail because there was a tight trail,
Hmm.
that you wouldn't even recognize it. It wouldn't have paint when I got back,
Right.
because my little truck got destroyed by the bushes and whatnot. The big truck would have got just totally destroyed. And even then, longer wheelbase, can cause some problems and stuff like that. This truck right here, beautiful, beautiful setup. Don't get me wrong. It has a pretty short wheelbase for a full size. If you're gonna have, that thing might have a diesel in it, which would be super rad. Get some good gas mileage, especially with the weight of a vehicle that has a camper shell on it or whatever you want to call that. But that is a super epic setup right there.
Yeah, and of course it's sitting on 40s and stuff, but this is kind of where people in a lot of people think you have to be for overlanding, and this, I know I was kind of crapping on the Hey Subaru guy a little bit ago, but this like Danny was saying, there's a very specific reason for this kind of vehicle. This thing is definitely you know maybe coastal, coast to coast with some off-roading, like you've got basically your house on the back of it. And I know, Danny, when we remember the Unimog that was camping right next to us at URE, and
Yeah.
we got talking about this, and we were like, hey man, what is that thing? What's the fuel consumption in that thing? And I have to forget. It was like 8 miles of diesel per.
Yeah.
And I got, man, how is that affordable? And he said, well, here's the thing: when you're gone at weeks at a time, and you're bringing your house with you, he's like, it's there's no, you might as well add in the cost of either a hotel or whatever. He's like, this
Right.
is all built in. So yeah, it may seem like that 8 miles per gallon is expensive, but I have my whole house with me. It's not just like a sleeping bag or something. So yeah, that's where that kind of earth roamers, that I like those, don't get me wrong, but you're into $100,000 of, you don't need $100,000 to go explore.
It really totally boils down to what kind of trips are you taking, how many people you're taking with you. There's no
Mm-hmm.
perfect vehicle for
Mm-mm.
everybody.
Mm-mm.
You can't say the Forerunner is the ultimate overland vehicle. That would be very it would be a very stupid statement if you ask me.
Right.
Because only 2 of you, there's 4 of you, there's 6 of you. Are you going on, red to black trails to get to the spot that you're going to? Are you going up to top of the world to spend the night at top of the world in Moab? Well, you better bring something uh mid-size. You better bring a smaller truck with some really good four-wheel drive. A full size might make it, but you're gonna be hurting, and it's gonna take a long time.
Right.
Or are you gonna be doing? I would say the last trip I went on with Rogue Overland, you could take a full size on that whole trip, and you would have been very comfortable. Like that, like I was saying before, the Tundra went on the whole trip, and if you went with a Tundra that was a little bit more equipped for, we'll say an Overland style build with kind of a, it's not linked in the rear and stuff like that. That would be more ideal if you have a bigger family. But
Right.
if there's just two of you, me and Sean ran in his FJ, and the FJ did amazing. He has a little bit longer travel in the front and rear. Ran great on the long dirt roads and stuff like that were a little bit choppy and whatnot. So two guys with a couple tents, throwing tents out at night, and a couple shift pods, that worked great as well. So it
Mm-hmm.
there's so many different variables that go into it. So there's no perfect truck, um, but there is some basics that you want to look for. You want to look for something that's heavy duty, that can take a beating, that's not going to break. Subarus Subarus can be overland vehicles. There's nothing wrong with that. You just have to know the limits of your vehicle.
Right.
I've been on a few overland trips where I could have drove out with a Subaru and been totally fine.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like the American Adventurist, Desert Rendezvous or whatever. It's fire roads out to the place. You throw a camper up or whatever, and you go into the canyon, shoot guns, and there's a big hang out around fire pits and stuff like that. It's still overlanding. I mean, it's a little bit more camping, but it's still overlanding.
Right. It's
And
it's buying expensive gear basically, and you're using it. That's
but you're still camping out in the middle of nowhere. You're still doing your thing. Um, but you have to understand you have to understand your vehicle's limits and capabilities, and be able to plan your overland trips according to those capabilities. And
right.
some things you're not going to get to in a Subaru. That's not saying a Subaru is not they have good ground clearance. You can throw a little spacer on them, and you can get out to a bunch of cool stuff. And you can camp out in the middle of nowhere. It's all-wheel drive, so you don't have to freak out so much about, if you get caught in a little bit of a soft spot or whatever like that.
Right.
But again, you have to know the capability of that car, and you have to know that it's not a rock crawler. If you have to go through a fairly rocky section with big boulders and stuff like that, you're going to be getting hung up on something. You might be damaging the car, and you might be stranded somewhere. So that's one of the biggest things I think with overland is you have to know your capabilities, and you have to know where you're going, and make sure that those all jive before you start
Well, yeah,
saying that I'm the best overlander in the world. I can go anywhere.
well, and there is no such thing, Let's be honest. There is no such thing as I'm the best of overlanding or whatever, because it's obviously it's different vehicles. Like I have a Unimog up here right now, guys. There's like, would I want one of those? Hell yeah! Could you imagine just driving around in a Unimog? Yes, that would be
Just
amazing.
go park in an RV park, and
Yeah.
everybody be walking over. Got there.
Right, but like
Smog.
Danny was saying
Smog.
too, there gets to be a point of knowing what kind of adventure you're doing, and sometimes I don't want to have to. If I want to go explore, I don't want to have to take my damn house with me to go explore. Sometimes I want to like camp. I want to have a tent camping, and leave it there, have a base, and then be able to do that. And where some of these, Danny, what do you think that thing is? 250,000 or more?
Yeah, depending, they range from 50,000 to $1 million.
Right, basically, yeah.
But I agree with you, Dave. Let me just weigh in real quick on that. Is I've gone overlanding with thousands of pounds of overlanding gear in my truck, and I've gone overlanding with a tent and a backpack. There really is, and that's the difference between me and my whole family. Like I've been on an overland trip where I'll bring my backpacking pack back,
Right.
with a backpacking tent and a bunch of MREs, and a hot lap through the Mojave Desert where we're camping 1 or 2 nights, and I'm eating just freeze dried food and having a good time. The most weight I probably had was beer. But there's all kinds of different ways to do it, and it's how much creature comforts do you want,
Right.
how much creature comforts do your spouse want, etc.
And I guess somewhat it comes down to kind of that sports car thing of like, yeah, I can go afford a Z in my current financial status, and I could go afford a Z, and if I want to track it or whatever. But at the end of the day, do I want that Lamborghini to go track? Of course I do, but my budget says no, I better stick with the more affordable thing. So guys, I will also obviously here's another one of these earth roamers. I got a little Dodge or a Ram that's really cool, and leads me to my next thing about this. Oh, here it comes. Here we go, Danny. The Rivian. It'll take Danny just a second to see what's going to pop up
Well,
here. But
before it pops up, Dave, let me just say that the Dodge Power Wagon is kind of like the big. That's like the big thing that Dodge came out with. They really were catering to the off-road crowd, the overland crowd with their Power Wagon.
Of course.
They were offering some serious. I think you can get it stock with like 37s on it, with a snorkel on it. There was a lot of really cool options that you could get. So Dodge, in true Dodge fashion, within the last couple of years, they've been kind of really putting their finger on the pulse and offering cool stuff. And then of course you get companies like AEV that get a hold of them, and they take them to the next level.
Yeah.
When you start with a good platform, you could make it that much better.
Yeah.
And so it's cool that companies were able to start with such a cool platform.
But they're also at the end of the day,
Rivian.
At the end of the day, though, too, like Ram is partnered with AEV because they can get a hype. There's an elite market that want that. And I pulled up one that I had one that I was texting Luke the other day, and it was sitting on 40s, man. And God, it looks so great. But at the end of the day, I was like, I wouldn't pay the price of those. But so I wanted to get into the electric thing a little bit because, guys, you're going to see live Sundays. We're going to be talking about electric pickup trucks soon. Ford's already come, they're saying by 2023 their F-150 will be out.
They're supposed to have a hybrid F-150, which is a step away.
Yeah.
We have the Nikola Badger, which GM just bought Nikola, or they're
partnering with
Nikola.
yeah.
Sorry.
And Rivian here, and then there's Lordstown, and there's all these little startup, and I call EVs just basically tech companies anymore because once you kind of get the tech of it down, it's just a shell basically. But this is going to kind of be, Danny, I kind of see it in the next 15 years. This is probably the future kind of overlanding, right?
You know what, Dave? While you're mentioning that, for someone that isn't a huge fan of electric vehicles, I'm going to need something for this conversation.
Uh-oh.
Let's get into it, Dave.
Oh, Danny's breaking more alcohol out.
But I don't know if I could talk to this subject without plowing through a couple beers because it's kind of depressing if you ask me.
No, it is. Now, out of all the weird EVs and Tesla and all this, whatever you like about the Tesla, the truck thing, they did that as they're never going to build that thing. I don't care if they've taken money down. When they build a truck, it's not going to look that bad because, for one, federally, all those sharp edges, they don't allow those. But
I read an article about that. I'm sure they'll figure it out.
But like the Rivian here to me is kind of out of all the weird goofy EV trucks, and once again, I'm not here to talk EV trucks in general, but this one sort of looks like a truck.
My money as far as looks, I think the Nikola Badger,
the Badger. But all we've seen
I think the Badger is the best looking concept.
Yeah, I was gonna say we've seen
right now.
Not seen a rolling version of that one, but
this one looks a little bit too much ridgeline to me. It gives me those ridgeline. It has a couple cool lines that I'm really into.
Yeah,
but it has just a touch of that ridgeline feel to it, and which it's like, oh, that thing's cool, and then it's just like,
what's up, Kelly? Thank you for popping in. But Danny, by no means am I like an EV guy that I'm super excited about this. But here's the thing, like you were saying earlier, Overlander guys are usually kind of cutting edge guys. They like their quality beers. They like quality, and they always want the best of the best in a lot of cases. And I'm the same way. I can't afford the best of the best, but I want the best I can afford.
I can't. Yeah, and I can't tell you how many Overland guys were shaking around their titanium coffee cups or their little whatever cups. That's the epitome of the Overland guy.
But I've already seen. I'm in a bunch of these Overland groups, and then you mix the EV guys like the Leaf or the Tesla guys in with those, especially when Tesla announced the Cybertruck. That, like, I know Rivian and all these have been out for a long time, or been saying, hey, we're coming out for a long time, but till Tesla said it. It wasn't like real. Once Tesla was like, oh yeah, trucks, and then all of a sudden it legitimized all these others. But the Overland crowd generally likes to be on the cutting edge, and EV trucks kind of will, I think, in the next 5 years. I won't say they're going to be a standard thing, but they're going to be more. You'll see them going down the road, Danny. And so
Absolutely.
therefore, your
Absolutely. I totally agree.
your guy that can afford the most expensive CVT 10 or whatever the highest end of camping gear is, he's probably going to try to own one of these. I have a feeling, man. And
Magnolia hard shell,
Yeah.
freaking South African,
Yes.
made out of blood diamonds.
Yeah. but I guess there's kind of a cool thing. If you ever need to charge your phone, you just plug it into your EV, your EV battery truck. But how real do you think these things are, like what we were talking going down Imogene? How real do you think that vehicles like this are going to be for overlanding?
I think similar to the hot rod street cars, um, they're in the overlanding world, in the off-road world, desert, mountain, adventure style world. I think that that's the side that's going to be a supreme holdout
Right.
for anything that I mean, while I know that overland guys for the most part love the newest, best, latest cool gear, at the same time I do think that there's a large section of them that they want the newest, coolest gear, but it has to work really well. It has to be engineered specifically for the task that they're taking it to. Toyota has done amazing in this segment because they are manufacturing and building vehicles that do extremely well for this segment.
Right.
They spent so much time and money making sure that their vehicles can handle rigorous off-road abuse, and they even stock a lot of suspension and stuff, especially in their TRDs, etc. They have worked very hard to make sure that they have this new um, what is it called, the new traction systems for the four-wheel drives, um, making sure that they're
All
you know
the crawl control stuff.
the crawl control, etc. So I just don't think that tech will be quite there for quite a while. I think the holdouts will be in any kind of extreme motorsports, whether it's drag racing or street racing.
Right.
We'll see some cool segments of it, but there's going to be, I mean, people like me and you, we're going to be those old guys
Well,
in
which
our-
somebody just
in
who
our
was
old
it?
patrols.
Yeah.
We're going to buy patrols or something, and our people are going to think of our Xterras as patrols or whatever it is.
Right.
Somebody in a Land Cruiser and stuff like that. People in their Discoveries, in their FJs. I mean, if you look at the amount of FJs that are out there right now, not FJ Cruisers, but all the old Land Cruisers and stuff like that. Those are the guys that are like, this is, they have 250,000 miles on their Land Cruisers, and they're like, this is the ultimate. This is back when they solid axled everything.
Yeah, because like a Series 80 is my dream.
Yeah.
Like I know I'm a big Nissan guy, but my dream kind of camping rig is a Series 80, man. You give me that triple lock version, and like I don't think you can do better. Now, granted, the engine in that thing is, it was a little straight six that it was okay for its time, but I would like that more power. But ultimately, I think that was the pinnacle. You could still get them with manual windows and things. And these EVs kind of scare me at the end of the day because it's all about rolling resistance. And what do you need with overland trucks? You need all-terrain tires, or in some cases mud terrain tires, and then I think it was TFL had a story today where I think it was Rivian they're out testing that thing, pulling loads, and if that thing don't get 400 miles per charge before you want to use it, it ain't no account. And the thing with Overland is you're not near charging stations, so
yeah, Flytrap just made a great point. It's like, we carry gas. What are you gonna do? Carry a couple extra batteries, and hydrogen,
a generator,
right out? You got to have some kind of wild ass freaking giant hydrogen bottle that's basically an explosive in the back of your truck or something like that. So there's definitely some hurdles for extreme hardcore 4x4 application.
Right.
Because there are some trails when you're overlanding that are not easy. when you're bouncing off rocks and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And
Reno
so
Overlanding says extra fuel on electric could be solar. Solar. Hyundai had messed with this several years ago, and they could only get maybe the whole roof of a Hyundai was solar, and they could only get like maybe one more mile out of it. Like it was completely like
you need you need some pretty high amount of voltage and amperage.
Yeah.
I mean wattage.
Yeah.
Which is that. But you're gonna need a lot of wattage. You're gonna need a lot of sun. It's not like you can charge it overnight and then keep driving the next day. Um, you know, there's some, like I said, there's some huge hurdles before we see anything electric really popping out in the scenario, the overland, the real hardcore overland. You might be able to see some electric stuff go on in some of these like smaller, meetup. We'll call it a desert meetup or a mountain meetup. Where it's a dirt road to where everybody's camping out, which is cool. You'll definitely see it at campsites, and you'll see them at, maybe down a dirt road at the Subaru meetup. You can definitely see some electrics.
If there's a Subaru
and
meetup,
again, it's not talking smack about Subarus. It's just you can only go so far. And some places are super cool that you can get to.
Yeah.
But some places you will not get to in a Subaru. There's just no way.
Oh no, like Danny, I went to the ZCon this weekend and was covering that event in Nashville, and there was you haven't seen the video yet, but there was 2 Z's that they had turned into gambler cars, man. And they were, I forget the size tires, pretty beefy tires, man. And I was like, holy cow, this is all Danny. But like you were saying, yeah, those fire roads, no problem, man. Because you give me a 2-wheel drive car or a little SUV or whatever, or even an all-wheel drive, and I'm gonna go rip it and have fun, man. But like some serious,
you can make it to cool places in 2-wheel drive.
Yeah,
you can.
But ultimately, they're it's not there yet, and I kind of wanted to end up on the electric side just because I knew it would be sort of it's like I said, that's the future of automobiles, unfortunately. And I like Danny, you were saying, I'm gonna die with the gas vehicles. It's worked in our world for 100 years, so it's kind of, if you do get to be that grumpy old guy at some point that's just like, stay off my lawn. I'm not changing. And like Fry Chap was saying earlier, like the tech's just not there yet. But I do think that you're going to see a bunch of rich overland guys as soon as those cars come out. I think you're going to see them stuck out in the middle of somewhere where they, shouldn't be, and
just sitting there waiting for their solar to charge up.
Yeah,
just keep cooking away on their scuttle, cooking their sirloin steaks with their Ginsu knives and their titanium cups.
Right.
I love you guys. You guys crack me up. You know what the thing is like, those guys, like that, there are those guys. Everybody who's anybody has overlanded and hung out with those guys. It doesn't make them bad.
Right.
It doesn't make those guys bad. I find it hilarious that they got to have all that gear to do it. But at the same time, some of those guys, they're the coolest dudes in the world. They just got a shit ton of money to spend on gear, and whatever, more power to you.
Right.
Maybe if I had that much money to spend on, $200 worth of silverware or whatever, overland silverware,
right,
maybe I would, but I'm not that guy. But
and at the end of the day, it breaks down to this: is you have 2 types of tools. You have Craftsman and you have Snap-on. Guess what? At the end of the day, they do the same things. Now, some things are better about Snap-on. Don't get me wrong, but if you
Dave has Craftsman,
no.
I have Snap-on.
No,
so
but
if you're curious.
well, you were a BMW mechanic, but no, but at the end of the day, a breaker bar is a breaker bar, Danny. And you need a bolt broke free, you break it free. So, Danny was frozen over there for a minute. But so, guys, let's get to a couple questions before we wrap this things up. I seen a bunch people were asking some questions, and we were just deep into this topic. And hopefully, you like this topic. You'll see more of this topic. By no means this is a good one. Were we going to break this completely down and solve overlanding? But go ahead, Dan.
Flytrap said to power an EV, you would need a 1,600 square foot of solar panel. As to into the future, yes, eventually. And eventually we'll have thorium reactors to power our cars. I can kind of agree with 1,600 square foot solar panel. I mean, you need a massive amount of energy to charge those cars back up.
Yeah, it's not,
So
and
that,
it's those batteries aren't like it's a trickle thing. Like they need a lot of power hitting that
well,
battery.
they need a
on
big
time.
trickle.
Yeah, yeah.
They need a big trickle to go in
They
and
need a
then
dick
swell
trickle,
that
buddy.
thing up.
Um, but first off, I want to say hello to. I don't know if Jim Bob's still on here, but we got Mr. Overland Nashville, who Danny, I about wanted to punch this weekend because I was at this Nissan thing. I wasn't there 10, 15
Man,
minutes.
punch him, he'll
And-
punch you right back. You bro, you better watch your
Well,
damn self, bro.
all of a sudden,
Jim Bob go crazy on you.
all of a sudden somebody had me kind of in an arm bar, like they had me neck wrapped, and I was like, who the F is this? And I didn't hear him talk. You know, Jim Bob's got that, he's got that voice, you know.
Well, when Jim Bob's Jim Bob, he got the twang. When he's not,
Yeah.
he's just got he's got a slightness to him.
Yeah, but it was nice to get to see Jim Bob at ZCon this weekend. And let's see, we had Frank B, ATX Trent, all the usual. We got Mr. Expedition Outfitters.
Oh, Raul, my boy Raul.
I know-
Which hold on, Dave.
Oh.
I'm gonna say Raul is in big trouble right now, bro.
What happened?
Raul didn't show up to my birthday, and then
Oh, wow.
the next day he posts on Facebook some really, really high-end delicious scotch.
I saw
and
that.
He
I saw that.
never and then he says, oh, you should taste this stuff. So I'm pretty sure that Raul owes me a couple of scotch tastings, and I don't want to have to go to him to get it.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
wow.
It was my birthday. He needed to bring that scotch over to me.
Right.
So there's a shot over the bow there, Raul.
We got Joe Taylor. I know Joe Taylor's not in here anymore, but thank you, Joe, for stopping by. Danny, did you know that Joe Taylor is like a junior in high school?
Shut up.
I'm not kidding you, man. That dude's going to be somebody in the car industry, man, because he loves
That guy's gonna be something.
He's loves
Joel's got he's got great insights. He's usually putting down some good thoughts.
Yeah.
He doesn't act like it on the internet. We'll
Nope.
say that, which is a big deal for a junior, because I don't know, when I was a junior, I was acting like a junior in high school.
No, I was acting like a stupid musician. I don't know if any of you still in here, but what's going on, Mr. Ethan Murphy? Let's see, who else did we have on here?
Oh, also,
Rob-
Overland Nashville has a beautiful wife. Good for him. Let me just say that again. Jim Bob, you have a beautiful wife, man. I don't know why you let her out of the house.
Well, there you go. All thoughts and opinions are not of Altering Nation proper. Those are views and opinions.
Cheers. You
of
better
Danny's.
keep that thing on lock.
Let's see. We got Ronald with Nissan Nation. I don't know if Ronald's still in here. I know he checks in and out. Flying J Lot Lizard. So
Ethan Murphy, what's up? What's up?
Flying J Lot Lizard asked during the show. He's like debating on getting a Frontier or Tacoma for his next truck. He's like, well, when will those Frontiers start coming out? I do expect around October, Flying J, that we will see the next Frontier. That means see it. That doesn't mean we get to buy them. I don't think you'd actually get to buy it till late January, early February at earliest.
And I think elections might have a little something to do with that. We'll see how COVID's pop out. We'll see what kind of production's going on.
Yeah, will COVID make a miraculous comeback? Let's see. There was a good question in here. It was a Samurai. Oh, there it is. Frank B, Dave, Danny. What's the best overland vehicle in your opinions? He votes for the Suzuki Samurai.
I think the new Ford Bronco. The second year, the new Ford Bronco will probably be the new Overland of choice.
Do you think that vehicle's gonna?
65% of all Overlanders will have that. Right now, it seems like the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon's kind of like the Jabroni go-to is either a Jeep Rubicon or a Rubicon for like a legit Overlander who actually does real stuff.
I wouldn't say
or
Jeep is a legit.
Tacoma.
I would say either 4Runner or Tacoma.
I've seen more Tacomas, but I've seen so many Jeeps, Dave. Maybe it's a little bit more out here, but golly, dude, you go.
Oh no, they're everywhere. I do think
crawling
though.
Up in your skin.
I think in a year and a half, 2 years, yeah, you're gonna see Bronco everywhere, and every Jeep dude that's gonna go buy one, and then in another year after that, he's gonna go trade it in for back his Wrangler, and then, that's gonna be a weird fight in itself, but let's see. Sergio Vargas, Overland Frontier or Overland trailer with stock Pro 4X?
Oh, I saw that question.
And he has a trailer now, I guess.
I've kind of gone away from I used to want a trailer, but I've kind of gone away from it because I've been on a couple trails that two separate trips where trailers broke, and they seemed like they hung everybody up Not only when they were broke, they see it was a lot of work getting them through a couple of the obstacles. And I don't want to be that guy. I can. They definitely had a lot more stuff than me. But I don't. I've shied away from trailers. I used to want like an Overland trailer. I've shied away from it just because to me it seems like a little bit of a liability, and it seems like a lot of extra weight.
Something extra to steal too if you leave it somewhere. The only thing I like about the Overland trailers, Danny, is I can pull that in my backyard and leave it there.
Yeah, and it's all packed up, ready to go. That's the one thing that I thought was pretty rad.
Which you sort of have now. Let's be honest. You have a camping trailer, so an RV trailer.
But that's it's fairly different because I wouldn't take that over anything more than a very basic fire road.
But the practicalness of being able if you really wanted to in 20 minutes, you could be down the road and going and having some fun.
Yeah, well, let's just say 2 hours.
I don't mean pack.
I got 3 girls in my life, man. I have a wife and 2 daughters, and I mean the son. You just throw some goldfish in the truck, and he'll be fine for the next 2 years.
Your son's still in that
Costco size of goldfish, and he'll eat for a month.
He's still in that Baby Yoda phase, man. Like some chicken nuggies or whatever the memes are.
But the girls, man. Oh man, you need all the things, dude.
Kelly asked, "Do we need an intervention, Danny?" On I guess you're opening up a beer for that the Overland electric EV.
Well, yeah, I'm opening up just because I know it was gonna go poorly.
Let's see, Ethan, thank you for stopping by, man. Let's see what else. We got any more questions? Let's see. Oh yes, Jim Bob does owe me a monster because when he did that, he knocked the monster out. I had a monster in my hand.
Oh, he knocked
it out of my hand. It was all over the ground. He
threw you in a rear naked, and you were just like, oh. Dave just went limp and said, "I'll tell you.
Here's my wallet. Take it.
Take me, Jim Bob."
Well, that's something we can talk about. That's more adventures. Like
no means yes.
Yes, me too. But anyways, let's see. We got anything else out there? Let's see. Kelly says EV powered by the flux capacitor. I could see that. I put more stock in actually a flux capacitor, the Back to the Future thing working than EV tech working. I think sometimes. Let's see. Flytrap had something. Let's see. Oh, about what you were saying, the 1,600 square foot, and he said no, he's not joking at all. Let's see. Anything else out here, guys? You guys have been a little quiet tonight. Jim Bob, thank you for stopping by, man. So Danny, that's been the show, I think. I want to say,
about it.
Guys, once again, this topic is just a topic. By no means, once again, were we going to solve the Overland crisis or change the world here.
There's no solving that.
Nope. Next week, guys, I don't know what we're going to talk about next week. And I wish I could put the bummer about us not having 1,000 subs yet is I can't even post up polls or anything yet on this channel to get y'all's feedback. So if you like our content, please like and subscribe if you haven't, and if you have, share it to your favorite social media thing, man. Just help us. I seem to like pissing off the Bronco guys, so I'll probably continue to do that a little bit, even though I'm technically a Bronco guy now. Danny, the world of trucks and SUVs, there's a lot to talk about. I've got a Raptor coming up on the show. I've got a Wrangler coming up on the show. I've got a FJ Cruiser coming up on the show. And Danny, you've got some stuff I know you've been planning too, because Danny really hasn't made his debut as a proper host on the show just yet. I think Danny's got some potential. No, you haven't put any videos up yet.
What do I got to do to make the debut?
You got to put a video up, Dan.
We're gonna have to go do the. I got 2 vids. Yeah, I got 2 vids we gotta do.
Okay, all right. So
I just got back from racing. I'm trying to knock my racing video. I just posted another video from my terribly failed racing. And then I got something for the other Nissan stuff. But
thank you,
once
Reno.
I'm done with those, and we got a couple other ones going.
Thank you for subbing, man. Once again, me and Danny has a very different take on the world of trucks and SUVs. Once again, I'm more of the journalistic side. Danny's more of the adventure side. And you put us together.
And drunk side.
Yeah, and you put us together, and we're almost a human being. So, guys, from all things trucks, SUVs, and what whatever me and Danny can get our hands on to ride around the road. We've had a good one tonight, and we're only scratching the surface. So this has been your All Terrain Nation, and what are we, Danny?
Out. Peace,
Out.
everybody.
Peace. We'll see y'all next Sunday, and if you don't know, Nissan Nation on Friday night.